One of the main things I think of is the role that climate and coffee have with each other, and just coffee being a harvested crop and the impact that just overall climate change is having. The supply of coffee is continuously at risk year over year. It's an important story that needs to be better told.
Me being a graduate of University of Northern Iowa, having my chance to leave Gary, and one thing that I loved about my visit to Iowa, one, I had no idea where I was. Everybody was so pleasant and happy, and they waved when you walked past them. We didn't do that in Gary, Indiana, and so it was like, wow, where am I? And I went. That introduced me to the state of Iowa.
My name is Rod Johnson. I'm the co-founder and chief values officer for BLK Bold Specialty Coffee.
I'm Pernell Cezar, co-founder and CEO of BLK Bold.
We both grew up in Gary, Indiana, and we met around, 13 to 14 years old. So it's been well over 20 years that we've known each other. And life in Gary, for the most part, is, similar to how people grew up in the 90s, right? I mean, it was revolved around a lot of sports, hanging out outside and making jokes, and it really served to be like the foundation for the business that we eventually have built. But P was a very warm and welcoming guy, very humble, and he had a deep appreciation for basketball, and that's really how our friendship blossomed.
Rod moved into the neighborhood across the street, 2 houses down, if you will, and he stood out quite easily because of being the new kid, but upbeat kid that was, smart as hell and, great at sports. Basically came out of high school and took over our high school. Growing up in Gary, Indiana, for anyone that is familiar with Gary, it's not the easiest place to grow up in, especially as a kid.
Yeah, I would say that first bag of coffee that P sent me was like the real start of the journey, and being like, okay, now I understand why people enjoy this, and it can be considered a delicacy similar to wine. All right, so something I really don't know is, how often are you all cupping?
So we're cupping these coffees every morning. This is one of our points of quality control.
Mm-hmm.
Is it producing the quality of coffee that we need to be putting out?
I met my wife when we were in undergrad, and we lived in Texas for a while. And it was a very pivotal time in the career progression that we knew something was going to have to get disrupted. That brought us back to Iowa. A year and a half later, we launched BLK Bold.
I definitely did not live in Iowa at that time. I lived in Sacramento, and so imagine my surprise when Pernell, after that year-long worth of conversations that we were having, was like, hey, I actually need you to move to Iowa so that we can really breathe some life into this thing. That took some time to really wrap my head around, but ultimately it proved to be the right decision.
This is good old original tabletop roaster, first grinder, bag sealers, as well as our brand packaging. Where was the garage? My house, just down the street. A lot of learnings on this bad boy. I remember the first batch that I ran, and the machine just starts screaming. And I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, starting to freak out. And I didn't know what else to do, so I unplugged it. Still had to get the product in people's hands. So really, over the first 6 months, we did maybe 20-ish pop-ups across the Midwest.
Today, BLK Bold, we're on what we consider our third version of our roasting experience, from the garage to the brewery to our own standalone facility that is a little bit over 30,000 square feet, sold the equivalent of over 75 million cups of coffee. Understanding why, when you have such bustling cafes across the US, but then you have places like Gary that have no presence of cafes, and what you see is the proximity to access the product is really based off of, income status, right, and community resources. And so while I love, the culture of cafes, what I don't love is the lack of cultural impact to community. And there's an opportunity to do better by being intentional with that. In 5 years, we will have contributed over $1 million to community partners across the country. Also, very proud of it's called our certifications that, reinforce who we are to our stakeholders, that being a certified B Corporation. We've been a certified B Corp since we've been eligible to be.
Succinctly, it is a third-party governing body that recognizes businesses that stand for purpose as much as profit. We want it to be that in the coffee aisle. It's a reinvestment into the things that matter the most.
And as Rod and I have been talking about just our overall journey for the business and being a social enterprise, one of the areas that we're not the strongest on is climate. And so how we impact the climate and overall how we can improve our operation from doing such. Knock, knock.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow, are you good with the meeting with Adam?
From SGS at the coffee shop. Yep.
Good?
Good.
All right, man. Well,
See you there.
we're going to learn tomorrow.
Consumers hearing that coffee is at risk, it's gonna, people are gonna be like, what? I might not get coffee in the morning.